Back with Alden Chodash of AldenBoxing.com. This past Saturday, Alden on HBO pay-per-view, Bernard Hopkins over Kelly Pavlik. Hopkins himself, after the fight, called it his greatest performance ever. HBO on their website saying it's one of boxing's all-time great performances. Is that hyperbole, or do you agree with those statements?
I agree. That was definitely one of the best performances of Bernard Hopkins' career, right up there with Felix Trinidad and bypassing all the others. Probably by far, it was Hopkins at his best, a throwback performance, and really that's not exactly what I expected, but the keys to victory for Hopkins in that fight, I expected, but not in that heavy of a dose, as Hopkins showcased for us on Saturday night. And he did everything right. Kelly Pavlik just couldn't find the answer offensively to any of the angles that Hopkins gave him. And really, Kelly Pavlik's just a straightforward, very orthodox fighter, and Hopkins' slickness and craftiness were completely new to Kelly Pavlik, who is coming off fights against Jermaine Taylor and Edison Miranda, his most impressive victories. And when you compare that to the craftiness of Bernard Hopkins, you can expect a big surprise, and that's exactly what it was.
Do you think Kelly could have done something different to win that fight, or he just was out of his league?
He may have waited a little too long early on. His only chance was to smother Bernard Hopkins, but really, once again, that's not really in his nature. Against Jermaine Taylor and Edison Miranda, he was used to fighting from the outside and picking guys apart like that who were vulnerable to his punches.
Okay. Dogs want to weigh in. You stated yesterday that George Foreman, you were comparing George Foreman victory over Michael Moore as a way to compare an aging fighter versus a young lion. But you say this was more performance than what George did. Can you elaborate?
Bernard Hopkins basically is more elaborate than George Foreman. George Foreman proved that he could be ageless based on his punching power, and really, by the books, by the cardinal rules of boxing, the power is the last thing to elude a fighter. Bernard Hopkins never had that power, and therefore he did it all on his own. He did it all with his guile and really his athleticism, and that's what separates him from George Foreman as a fighter and based on those late-age performances.
You don't want to see Hopkins-Calzaghe too, do you?
No, I wouldn't want to see that. I'm kind of hoping that Roy Jones, I don't think he's going to win, but makes a good enough performance that Hopkins would take that fight. It's more interesting on paper. First of all, they haven't fought each other in how long, and proposals of that fight have been discussed time and time again. Calzaghe, I wouldn't expect to see any different of an outcome if they would fight again. To tell you the truth, it's not a very entertaining outcome. And Jones and Hopkins would be interesting, and I really hope that happens some way or another.
So you think even if Jones loses but makes it close, you think people still would want to see Jones-Hopkins too?
Yeah, people, I think, would be more intrigued by that matchup by far.
Okay. Kelly Pavlik, supposedly is moving back down to 160. He probably will face Marco Antonio Rubio. You think Pavlik is going to get back on the winning ways?
Yeah, really, no one could beat him at 160. Pavlik, who was once a confident fighter, may take a hit in that compartment because of the fact that he lost every round against Bernard Hopkins. As great as Hopkins is, that can't hurt a fighter as young as Kelly Pavlik.
Like it did to Jeff Lacey?
Yeah, Kelly Pavlik should fight Marco Antonio Rubio in his next fight to just see where he stands. It's a fight that he really can't lose if he's even close to his best. A victory against Rubio should lead him to fights against Arthur Abraham or others.
Okay.
Other top middleweights.
How'd you like Danny Jacobs, super middleweight, that was also on the Hopkins undercard?
He looked very good. He looked very professional in there and went to the body very well. And yeah, he's one to look out for.
Okay, this coming week on Showtime Friday, super middleweight battle, Limberto Andrade, Lucien Bute. I think we touched on this a couple of weeks back. Who do you think is going to prevail in this fight?
Bute's definitely going to win the fight. He's a much better all-around boxer, and Librado Andrade likes out muscle guys and bully fighters that he can touch. Lucien Bute is too slick to get into a fight like that, and he should definitely win. But Andrade keeps coming. He's definitely probably not going to feel the effects of Bute's punches with his granite chin, and that should keep him in the fight.
Okay. More down the road, light middleweight matchup, Paul Williams, Verno Phillips. Do you think Paul Williams will take this matchup?
Yeah, that's a fight that I'm expecting Williams to win. Verno Phillips is an older fighter and he's not very fast. Paul Williams is quite the opposite. He throws a lot of punches. He should overwhelm Verno Phillips. Is this fight going to be at 147?
It's light middleweight.
Light middleweight, yeah, for Verno Phillips' world championship.
It's not officially, but at least not on BoxRec, but I'm expecting it will be, yes.
It's good to see Paul Williams out of the 160-pound division. 154 is heavier than 147, but he can still dominate guys with his size at that weight.
Okay. And also, your opinion on Vladimir Klitschko, Alexander Povetkin. Is Povetkin good enough to dismantle the Ukrainian?
I got to touch on one thing. Povetkin is too tactical to even make me want to watch that fight, really. Vladimir Klitschko is boring enough, even against, possibly even against guys that push the fight. But against a technical fighter like Povetkin, as he showed against Eddie Chambers, it's going to be a terrible fight. I'm expecting Klitschko to win one way or another, just based on the fact that he's always found a way to win in recent performances, even through some adversity. But Povetkin's not very talented at all, as shown against Eddie Chambers. And Vladimir Klitschko should win, probably not by a knockout, however.
Probably not by knockout. Do you think there's any way that Vitaly Klitschko loses to Nikolai Valuev?
No, Vitaly Klitschko, it's going to be interesting watching him up against a guy that's taller than he is. It's probably the first time that ever happened in Vitaly Klitschko's career. I mean, you got to think about it. Vitaly Klitschko's fight plan is based around the fact that he's so much taller than his opponents and what he can do with that. So, on that matter alone, it can be interesting, but he's so much more talented than Valuev. It's hard to see him losing that fight.
Okay. Thanks, Alden, for talking to us. Remember to check out aldenboxing.com and fightfan.com for more information. Bye-bye.